G'day, we are playing some more Oxygen Not Included here as we continue to gain a little bit more water. Alright, so firstly, it looks like the comments are sort of saying like after 800 or so days, it's acceptable for me to load once. So no one seems to be too mad about that we let Ashcan come back into the world of the living. Which I guess is nice. So I assume Ashcan's particularly grateful for that one. Okay, so have a quick look at some comments as well. There's a reminder that I was building a wall up here before Ashcan died. I should really return to building. So I think it was that this is 100 degrees on that side, 70 on this. So assume that what I was doing was building a wall here in an attempt to block out that unpleasantness. So you can even see by the time we're up there it's 50, so we don't really need to worry about those two. Let's just go a straight wall for now. That's 80. 85 in there. And they've got dirt around, I suppose we can use that. We may as well build that way. And we have to D out that one, because otherwise I won't get to those other wall pieces. Okay. And what else did we have? So there was some nice thorough details as well. Obviously it was suggested too, based on how long we're waiting for this, we should add a second switch to here. Its job is to manage... well, actually, no, it doesn't even matter where the switch is, does it? Because all the switch does is... like, they don't have to manage the switch, I manage the switch. So what we want to do, basically, is copy this. See how we go with lead. Run it through the wall. Cancel those two. And then deconstruct that one. So basically what we want is the this guy over here operating these two, so that when we have scenarios like this where this guy's back, we don't want him completely exposed. Which I think makes perfect sense. Now I did want to build manual airlock here too. Dug that out just to allow them to sort of cut through here if they do want to get over to this side. Okay, so things that were commented on. Right, so first suggestion to a suggestion as well was that there's no point in making the rocket bigger with more fuel tanks until I actually intend on flying further away. Now that's an interesting question too on whether do I want to be someone's entombed. Who's entombed? Oh, the rocket. Okay. Do I want to just sort of be trying to get to the furthest possible point as quick as possible, or is my goal to sort of slowly work my way up there? We'll take the vol eggs because that's something that it wouldn't hurt to suddenly get another injection of more vols in there to try and get this second row firing a bit more. Though I imagine that those vol eggs will just be... get 3. They'll only go into that sort of top row, but hopefully when these guys have babies, it means that they're more likely to see those go into the second row. Hopefully. We'll see. Let's put in a sweep request for what's there. Okay. But suggestion is that I shouldn't add more tanks until I am reaching that sort of area of travel, and at the same time I should limit the amount of hey, you're back. Okay, so have we already deconstructed that? We haven't yet. So if I go back to my reminder of what does what, it's that one. So we can click on this guy and say close. Have all of them close. That tile that's not happy? Beating on that landing? Maybe you can Come out, stretch your legs for a little bit. Yeah. Does seem like a worthwhile suggestion too, that just have a broken gantry, it still does the job. Okay. So, hopefully from what we've got there, we're actually going to see, we're going to get close to the end of this. Hopefully. I suppose we want to start working on getting this guy loaded up again. So, 900. So we want to change him to be a max. Oh, it's pretty easy, just got to type that. 900. Okay, now the other thing pointed out too, in this same vein, was that the oxalite is just evaporating. And obviously where it's even being made is even just a bigger waste because there's no, like it's going into an area where I don't even need oxygen. So what we want to do is allow oxalite to get put in here. Let's see. What would it be considered as? Let's find out. There's no way to search on this, is there? Or is it something else? Is it one of the other, like, style things I need to make? Oh, there's even more up. Industrial ingredient. Is there a search option on here? Consumable ore. There we go. Okay, so let's say oxalite, and then let's say copy settings. All of those. So then it means that they'll take oxalite from there and put it in there, so that to stop it, like, because if it's underwater, I believe they said, it can't off-gas underwater. So won't be fully underwater yet, but I think that this, with the way we've set this up now, this should be finally on its way to getting that right. Alright, minor detail as well mentioned was that I don't need a spark battery for every single one of these. There's no point in changing it right now, but assumingly what I could do is just have all of the petroleum. If I want them all to basically just cut off at the exact same threshold, then what I would do is just have them all connected to the same battery. So good note. Thank you for that. I'm not sure about resetting that amount just yet. Have a quick look at where we're at with our movement of our gas. So basically the concern I have is that you can see that we know we're currently without our natural gas generation, and we want to get our next rocket going, but if we send that rocket and we just let this valve just go, then these guys are potentially going to be way less, like, I'm going to lose so much fuel that's currently going to these guys, and I could potentially have outages. So a tough little decision there. Alright, we'll enable this guy again. And the other one was, if you're looking at the vacancy only permitted toggle, the auto suits, the button shows what you were toggling it to. Right. So, if I'm saying, if I'm pressing that. Right, okay, so pressing that now means that the clearance is vacancy only. That's the status there. That's what I have the option to change it to. Thank you for that clarification. Let's get suits delivered to these different points. Let's make sure we've actually got suits in all available spots. Okay, so clearance vacancy only, clearance vacancy only. I mean, this one shouldn't matter as much. We'll change it because there should only be that many suits out there. There's no other way to come through. Oh, there's guys doing it with the rocket switch. So that's closed, which is good. That guy's still, we were just waiting for the automation wires to get connected to him. Can they reach all of that? Assume they can. It's just an effort to get up there. So, with the vacancy logic stuff now working with 2 of these, then it should mean that I can give them back this connection. Because they want to, they can't sort of like, they would have to go back to the other point to successfully drop their suit. So let's say sweep that Atmos suit there, just so that they put it in one of those vacant spots. Alright, that's great to see as well. Those Volegs have moved across, and so we're up to 3 Volegs in the lower one. It's exactly what we want to see. We haven't really seen that bottom one take off in a way that we would like. But we would like to have everyone just sort of eating that meat rather than live off bristle blossoms. I do wonder if that sort of takes off too, I could surely get rid of more of my my bristle blossom setup. Still haven't done anything with that auto sweeper either. I don't think there was anything else. Good to see that these guys are working away. I suppose that at least this guy I should get more gas for. So, based on what's been going on down here, we know there's a pretty infinite supply of steam that should exist in this room. So, it's... Okay, what is our max on this one? It's 900 as well, isn't it? This guy. Yeah, 900. Okay, so if we go... this guy... Resettle number. Let's let 400 through. And you can see we are already starting to have power outages there. That Aqua Tuner just shut down. And that definitely does give me a bit more reservation about taking too much of the petroleum out of there. This guy is 14 cycles away. I'm personally impressed to see that these generators are still doing anything. Like, they're operating off the smallest amount of natural gas. There's nothing else that I'm doing that actually is generating natural gas, is there? No, I don't think there is. You're just that packed for oxygen that we don't need it. That generation's not going on. Even all the way up to our planetary map. It's all full. Which I suppose is the other issue, because then it means that these hydrogen generators aren't fully functional. So that's where we've got another issue in our setup. At least this guy's sort of moving along. But it is something I've talked about for a long time, so let's have a look at it. Let's try and audit um, electricity use. So if we go power overlay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these don't need power. They'll just go a little bit slower. But from what we've seen, we've never had a full. Actually, I wonder if I can go. Let's start from the start here. If we go to the colony report. So let's go yesterday. Power usage. So I'm going to take a quick photo of that just so that I can remember it. This is what we want to work on. We want to try and see if we can reduce that power usage. So power usage is currently 6,300. Our heavy lifter is the Thermo Aquatuner, which they're definitely fine too. Then we've got gas pumps and the incubators. So you can see the incubators are a huge part of this. Okay, but we know that if we take electricity off this, it's just going to deconstruct that. Is there any electricity through to that one? Yes, down here. Okay, so we're going to say deconstruct that. So step one, let's disconnect the two of those guys, because I don't think it matters. I think that with those, they'll just continue to operate. They just won't operate as quickly. Now, having a healthy population of voles is an important part of our food source, but I think that if we don't have the 12 of these full, I don't think it's a problem. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. What we're looking at is what can we do to pull down that that overall power usage. Okay, so this wire here isn't happy for the amount that it's getting used. I suppose because it's running all the way down here and operating a whole bunch of stuff. But we salute you for your service. That all seems necessary, what we've got going on here. Now, is there a way that I can look at a pump like this? I assume that, is he using energy? Power consumed. So, in a scenario like, say, what this gas pump's working on, is he actually using wattage right now? Like, while he's waiting, is he sort of in a state where he is saying, I am trying to pump and I'm on, but I'm not actually pumping anything? Because if that's the case, then it seems like the way to go would be to put it, like, I think someone suggested a few videos back that I should put a sensor in that room that if it can see gases, then it pumps. Otherwise, leave it be. Small obelisk. What's our logic on that? Does that work? Okay, so what happened is that switch took effect and then it just automatically opened it. Alright, let's keep having a look at what we've got. I think we've currently got that auto sweeper in place too, and we're not really using him. So, I don't know if I should just disconnect him. Are you actually using power? That wattage seems quite small. I assume it's the kilowatts that are the important thing here. So let's have a look at power usage again. Power usage yesterday. It's different, isn't it? It's more just saying the generators that are creating it. What was I was looking over here? There we go. Okay. I'm with you. Alright, so we again look at the heavy hitters, gas pumps, Thermo Aquatuners, incubators, the oil wells, the gas filters. Ceiling lights. I think the ceiling lights are actually needed for the growth of these plants, I assume. And they need that. Guess we'll see how we go just for dropping those incubators, because the incubators make up more than a tenth of our total total use. I guess the question will be whether that's a whether it is a worthwhile worthwhile thing to have had. The algae distiller is doing 72 kilojoules. Are we even using the algae distiller? I don't think we've dug up... Oh, there's algae going in there? Are you actually in operation right now? Is there a way I can tell that? Yes. Okay. As long as I guess you're doing something. Like cleaning up slime. Let's lower the urgency on this guy. Algae is not something that we need like we once did. I suppose we do use it some... Do we still use it in like the deodorizers? Does anything still use algae? I don't think we... I'm not sure if we do. Oh, I can see they're picking up oxalite out of there, so that's good. And the oxalite is getting shifted across. So I guess that's a question mark one that we've got there. Is that algae still still actually needed for use? Were the water sieves in this at all? Is that the liquid filters? Is that what we're calling liquid filters? The water sieves? Like I said, I do wonder about this setup now. And in terms of like trying to reduce the amount of electricity we're just using in general. So if you have a look at what we've got going on in this room here, we have 4 different pumps. I'm pretty sure 2 of them are off. They might not be. And their job is to take water from here. Then you can also see we've got this vent here. And the job of that vent is to pump this water here. Now that water is also filtering itself and coming up. And then once it reaches this point, it's getting sieved and then heading up to get to that point. So you'll notice there's not that much polluted water in this room because there's just not that much pollution going on. Now, this is using filters to check to make sure that there isn't stuff in the water, as well as that all of the... Yeah, so there's 2 filters both going at 120 watts, and then there's the pumps all going at 240. That it feels like that what I should do is actually just cut a hole in the floor here. Just let that water just drop through. End up down here, end up in here. Just make that just one large tank that is being supplied by that water geyser there, as well as this hot water, this cool steam vent up here that slowly will make its way down there. We then also have this huge tank here that's using that polluted water vent, as well as Was there a second one? Yep, that cool steam vent. As well as this cool slush geyser. Actually, now that we've got that, we can ask for that wall to be deconstructed. So, potentially what we could do is shift all of that into... It would just be, can we get this across to there without having to, like, pump it across? Which I don't think we can. I mean, he's pretty constant as well, and what his use is. So this tank here is pretty ongoing. There's all our water coming through. And that guy. Oh, real cold water. It's going where I didn't want it. Did the ceiling collapse? I think that's what's caused the problem there. At least, like, once it hits there, it rolls and then sort of ends up going down the right way. Something must have collapsed there. It's Ellie for the rescue. I think that's what we want to do. I think we should look at how can we get this pipe system here to just run firstly straight into here. Like, so that's an easy one. All it would be is that we just bump that straight up. And then he continues, and that goes in there. Then this pipe continues on. And at this point, it hops there, goes in there. This still remains, because that basically is just all of that, the water that he rejects, then just cycles back through a second time. The water in that pipe is 62. So it means that possibly it's going to have to cycle through twice as opposed to what's happening to the water up there. But as long as that cycle, like, as long as basically it's enabling... Let me think about that. So you can see at this point here, 50% of the water is new water. The other 50% is... old water. So at that point there, we're getting 50% in. So I guess if I make the connection here, it just means that all of that can be old water waiting to come back in. Which is fine. So I won't do that yet. I realize we're pretty close to the end here. So let's discuss this one as logistics of should this be done. Can it be done? Yes. So the benefits of this, if we were to connect that there, we would then allow, it would mean that we could cut out, say, this filter and that pump would both no longer need to be there. The only thing would be, and this is where I suppose it becomes a question mark, is that this water, I said water really weird there. This water that's come out of here, essentially 100% we want that water to actually cycle back through and get in here. So the question is, how do we change that? How can we make it? We want to work out a design that's basically saying the water goes through this guy and then through this guy. If it comes out this side, that's our priority water for being the next thing to go in here, and the water out of this tube should only come in if there's a free space. I assume it's going to be something to do with the way that I put a liquid pipe in. Because if we can do that, if we can tell this 100% of the time, we want you taking the water that you've already rejected once, then it means that what we can do is we don't have to worry about this, because this is the second part of this problem. If this water is going up in here and dropping back into this tank, there's going to be nothing in this room to pump it out. And essentially what it would be is it would be falling into this room and then going all the way down. Whereas really, that is the water that we actually want to get cooled. We're going to get into this faster if that is getting cooled. And then we've got to work out the same thing for this system up here. Essentially that it would be that we have that water from the bottom coming up. It goes through this pipe and it then connects into this guy in a similar way that drops this way. There's a whole sieve system in here that I don't think is needed either. That's that second pump. This third pump here, this guy, he's working on the our steel maker up there. And again, that's just the end of the line. If this pipe comes up, connects to that guy, then carries on, and then goes up to this guy, and then if he's full, it just sort of doesn't keep pushing things beyond, that's totally fine. This guy here, he was our pump used for producing more steam for this room. And again, I don't think we need that system at all. I think from having watched that steam go on through the bottom, and also knowing how probably much longer we're going to be in the steam rocket business, we can probably live without him. So that is the case I'm putting forward, that I think that we can remove the 4 pumps, the 2 filters, and the water sieve, and those 2 guys that all exist in this area here. The only question that I have is, what automation, is it an automation system, or is it just sort of like a loophole that I can exploit that will mean that these 2 aqua tuners will continue to keep tuning the cool water they've already made until it's out of the system? Because we can't just have it say there isn't an option for that to get pushed out, because if that happens, then it's going to reach a blockage, because it's trying to cram in more like new water into its system when it hasn't gotten rid of enough old water. I'd say there definitely is a fix for that one. In the next 2 minutes, I'm not going to solve it, and hopefully we will see less. This thing, we can already see that we're down. I guess it depends on the days sometimes. So we went from 6,000 to 4,000. Now we've sort of had a few days of 4,000 without those these guys in the mix. Again, you can see that we are now completely full in that. So it is a good question about how much slower does this make it, and is this a bad thing, or should I just try and create more incubators in these rooms? Except that they are going to be going slower. Or is the system actually going to break? Like, am I not going to be getting vols fast enough if they're all those eggs are taking too long? This one's a question mark as well about whether we've got enough. If the exploit of not feeding vols and just sort of having them make babies and then die works, if their incubators aren't getting power. You know what I'm talking about. Alright, there we go, another one. Some ideas ahead of what we're going to be doing. Any questions or comments, feel free to chuck them below. And until next time, catch you later. See ya.